to Elevation Spark Video Podcast. I'm Lucinda Dalmeida. Today's guest is Lee Germanos. She's an attorney and currently a legal researcher that focuses on gender-based violence and the criminal justice system. She's the co-founder of the Embrace Project, and it's a South African-based non-profit organization that sells local art to raise funds for the gender-based violent causes. Leanne describes herself as a strong-willed, ambitious, and nurturing individual. One of the points she strongly believes in is that we are not seeking to empower women. Women are already empowered. We're just reminding them that the power is within them. Welcome to the show, Leanne.
Thank you, Lucinda. Thank you for that introduction. It's funny hearing my words being read back to me.
Okay, so to start off, I'd like to ask you, where did your passion originate for this specific cause?
To be honest, I think just being a woman in South Africa is enough to ignite that kind of a passion. And I think I've always had a passion for social justice, hence the career path I chose. But I think like most women in South Africa can probably attest to this, but I've had my own experience of sexual violence in its differing forms. For me, it was sexual harassment, and I think that there's not a single woman in South Africa that hasn't either experienced it herself or knows someone close to her who has. So that's where my passion originates from.
Okay, that's very true. Thank you for sharing that.
So what I'm hoping that the impact that I'm hoping the Embrace Project will have is from my particular perspective is to create awareness about gender-based violence, its causes and its prevalence. We try to do that through our social media. We send out bite-sized information about gender-based violence in our posts. So we try to give people little bits of information to explain to them that, it's not normal to live in such a violent society. And it's kind of unique to South Africa, given our context. And in trying to combat gender-based violence, we have to understand where this violence comes from. It's a part of the greater violence picture that we currently live in South Africa. And if we're to combat that, then we have to understand how we got here. And it's got largely to do with our very checkered past, both our colonial and apartheid histories, and the disempowerment that resulted from that in a majority of the population in South Africa, and how that feeling of disempowerment can become quite dangerous, particularly in the hands of, perpetrators who are predominantly men. So what people usually do when they feel disempowered is to try and take the little control that they think that they have. And that's why violence or gender-based violence is predominantly perpetrated by men against women and children who are weaker and more vulnerable. And that's the kind of information that we try to get out there through our social media networks, because we genuinely believe that change starts at home. In as much as we have fantastic laws that try to prevent violence, and now in particular gender-based violence, why should we get to that point where the violence has already been perpetrated rather, to then engage the criminal justice system? What we're hoping to do is to form like kind of a preventative solution so that we don't even get to the point where gender-based violence is perpetrated. And that's the one aspect of the impact that we're hoping to have as the Embrace Project. Another aspect, which is the creative side, which makes this organization pretty unique because it combines advocacy and art, is to bring a lighter and a more beautiful side on a topic that's very dark. So we try to bring in the creative aspect as a sort of a healing aspect, as well as, a manner of fundraising. So we're selling very beautiful pieces of art which don't necessarily have anything to do with gender-based violence, but is a beautiful picture or a print that you can put up in your office or in your home, which you've purchased with the knowledge of knowing that your money is going towards organizations that are combating a pretty good cause in South Africa. And we hope to expand on the art aspect of our organization through the creation of murals, so really trying to harness the healing aspect of art, as well as the beauty of it. Sorry, you're muted.
I muted myself. So what are some of the organizations that the funds actually go towards? Because I saw in one of your previous interviews you mentioned Fight Back SA and Passop. Are you still working with them, or have you extended to different organizations?
So we are still currently funding them with our current funding cycle, but we've also added an additional organization called Adapt. They are Johannesburg based. They're based in Alexandra, whereas Passop and Fight Back are based in Cape Town. And those are, pretty grassroots organizations, particularly Adapt. They work directly with the community in Alexandra. So that really brings a very local flavor to what we do, because we, art is donated to us by local artists, and the money goes towards local organizations which might find it a bit difficult to obtain international funding to keep their organization going. And it's quite ironic, because it's usually those grassroots organizations that have the most impact, because they are working directly with communities day in, day out,
Yes.
Gaining their trust. So those are the three organizations that we as the Embrace Project currently fund. We call them our beneficiaries. The idea, though, is for us to rotate our beneficiaries so that
Yes.
we can support as many grassroots organizations as there are out there.
So your organization is very connected with the community. Its focus is with a community-based organization.
Yeah, so we're connected to the community through our beneficiary organizations. We ourselves don't go out there and do that groundwork, which is why we raise funds for those organizations that do. We don't, pretend that we have expertise, hands-on expertise with communities on the ground like our beneficiary organizations do. But we do also try to foster partnerships with our organizations so that we could, in the long run, become more involved in, the more grassroots changes with communities.
So for individuals who are looking to get involved with the organization and maybe contribute their art, where can they find your organization?
So we are available on both Instagram, Facebook, predominantly, but if anybody would like to contact us directly, particularly pertaining to the donation of art or any kind of contribution that they'd like to make, as well as organizations who are looking to hopefully be funded by us, you can go directly to our website. It's currently not easy to find it on Google, but our website address is actually easy enough to remember. It's www.TheEmbraceproject.com. And if you can't remember the website name, you can find us on our social media platforms, which will have our website address as well. And on all of our social media platforms, we are, our handle is @TheEmbraceprojectzza.
Yeah, I've personally seen your content online and I've engaged with your content, and I like the fact that it's in bite-sized pieces of information. It's very easy to absorb it and take in, and it's very informative as well. So thank you so much for the work you're doing.
It's my pleasure, and it's great to hear that kind of feedback, to know that it's having the impact that we're hoping it would.